Hi everyone, and welcome once again to my channel. My name is Spoma and I am a teacher here in the UK, and I share tips on this channel on how to help you be the best at your job, which is teaching. Now, today's video is a follow-on from our previous series on phonics. Please, if you haven't seen the series, go back and have a look and watch. This is our third video in this series, and in today's video, we are going to be looking at and explaining the key phonics terms and terminologies that are used in the teaching of reading, especially in phonics, okay? So we're going to dive straight into it today. The first word that we have here is a phoneme. Now, what is a phoneme? So a phoneme is a single sound that can be made by one or more letters. For instance, k is a phoneme, b is a phoneme, is a phoneme. So all of those are single sounds, okay? A phoneme is a single sound that can be made by one or more letters. When it says more letter, you might have the trigraphs, as you can see from the video, the IGH, which is a combination of letters, and of course, it makes one sound. So that is what a phoneme is. Then you have the pure sound. So you might hear someone say, when you're teaching phonics, you use a pure sound. So a pure sound just basically means pronouncing the letters clearly and distinctively without additional sound. So for instance, which is the one that most people struggle with, is the b and the p. So you have people may go ba, 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 ba. So the at the end, when you add that, that is an additional sound that you are adding to that letter. So it's not the sound in its purest form. When you make the sound and you go pa, 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 again, you are adding an additional sound at the end. So it's important when you teach phonics that you use the pure sounds. You're not adding any additional sound to a particular sound, because when it comes to reading, if you're teaching a child that the sound makes pa, pa. Now, when they want to read, they're going to be sounding that that letter as pa. And it's going to make it a bit difficult for them to read a word. So for instance, they want to read the word pot, okay? If you go pa, then they're going to go pa, ot, which doesn't make the word pot, okay? So it's important that when we are teaching sounds, we use them in their purest form. We don't add additional sounds, additional letters at the end of the word. And as I said previously, the two that sort of trip people is the b and the p. Okay, so these are the two sounds that tend to trip people a lot. I mean, the other ones are basically straightforward, but you have the b and then you have the p. So it's important for those particular two sounds that you're careful that you're using the purest sound when you are teaching them. And again, you have the one on the screen, which is f. Okay, so you have the no, fa, fa, fa. When you say fa, again, you have added the U and the H sound to that word, which is not the word, which is not the sound in its purest form. The sound in its purest form is f. Right, moving on. We have the grapheme. What is a grapheme? So a graphemes, they are written letters or a group of letters which represent one single sound. So the phoneme is the sound. Now you have the grapheme is the letter. In this situation, or in this instance, A is the grapheme for A. Sh is the grapheme. A is the grapheme for A. So that's how you write the letter, is called a grapheme. And of course, the phoneme is the sound. Now, you might hear me a lot, or any other phonics video you watch, about blend or blending. What does it mean when we say blend or blending? So to blend just means saying the individual sounds that make up a word and then merging or blending the sounds together to say the word. We're going to come a bit, we're going to get to segmenting in a minute, but segmenting and blending tend to work hand in hand, okay? They tend to work hand in hand. But blending is basically when you've pulled those words apart, then you have to pull them in together. Is the pulling together of those sounds to make a word or to merge them to make a word. That is when we say you blend the sound to make a word. So that's when we use that term blend or blending. Now, segmenting. So segmenting, as I said, is the opposite of blending. Now, it is when you split a word apart into individual sounds, and you mainly use segmenting when you are spelling or writing. So for instance, I want to write the word boat. Now, I have to segment that word in order to write it. I need to pull that word apart into the individual phonemes so I can go ahead and spell it or write it. So boat, I'm going to go b-o-t, b-o-t. So that is me segmenting the word. And then, of course, to blend it is boat, boat. So I'm not putting the words together to make the word boat. So as I said, segmenting and blending, they go hand in hand. Now you have CVC words, and of course you have VC, CCVC, CVCC words, and all of that. So this is just an abbreviation that is used for consonant, vowel, and consonant words. So a consonant, vowel, and a consonant word. So of course, we all know what our consonant is. Our consonants are the other letters that are not a vowel. We know what our vowel is. Our vowel is our A, E, I, O, U. And any of the other 26 letters that don't fit into the A, E, I, O, U are your consonants. So your CVC words, which is basically, you probably read CVC words for early readers or beginning readers. We tend to read CVC words a lot. For instance, the word pot is a CVC word because the P is a consonant, the O is a vowel, and the T is a consonant. So that is your definition of a CVC word. Of course, you have the CVCC words, which is your consonant, vowel, consonant, and consonant, and you have some examples of it showing on the screen. Then you have your digraphs. So these are now some of the key terms that you will begin to see when you are teaching. You are actually now teaching phonics. So digraph, I have mentioned in my previous video, but I'm going to do it again. So digraph is where you have two letters that make one sound. A digraph, two letters that make one sound. You have the EE, the O and the A, the Ch and the AY. So those two letters, or all these letters, when you put them together, there are two letters that make one sound. That's why they're called a digraph. Now you have various types of digraphs. You have the vowel digraph, you have the consonant digraph, and you have the split digraph, which we're going to come to in a minute. Then you also have trigraphs. So trigraphs are where you have three letters that make one sound. For example, the ear sound, the first sound that we can see on the screen, the ear sound. So the ear sound is three letters. When you put them together, they make one sound. And of course, you know the digraph is two letters that make one sound. Dia for two, tria for three. Now, there's another term that you might hear when you teach phonics or when you watch a phonics video. Now, one that is called a sound buttons. So sound buttons are very, very important, especially for beginning readers, okay? It helps them with their writing, it helps them with their segmenting, it helps them with their blending, okay? Now, what are sound buttons? So they are basically dots and dashes that are positions underneath words. They're positioned underneath some words or underneath words. For instance, if I'm teaching a lesson, and I've written a word on the board as nap, okay? Now, the dot symbolizes a single sound. So the dot symbolizes a single sound, and the dash symbolizes a digraph or a trigraph. So the dot, single sound, the dash, a digraph or a trigraph. So for instance, if I want to teach, I'm teaching phonics, and I want the children to sort of spell or write a word. For instance, the word think. I want them to write the word think. Now, think is a tricky one because in some phonics scheme, you will have the nk as one sound, and for others, you will have the nk as the N and the K as separate sounds. So it just depends on the scheme that you're using. But let's say, for instance, I want to write the word third. Okay, so the word third. Now, the T and the H is a digraph because they make the sound. Now, I am going to put a dash underneath there. And then for the and the D, I'm going to put a dot because those are one letter, one sound. So it just helps a child. So for instance, I'm doing some writing and I said, okay, can you write the word third? Now, I might put the sound buttons on the board alone just to help the children work out the sounds. And they know, okay, this one that has a dash is definitely going to be a trigraph or a digraph. And the ones with the dots, they're basically single sounds. So that way, it helps them think about their spelling, think about the grapheme that needs to go to spell that particular word. Then you have the double consonants. Okay, again, going back to CVC words, I did say that there are various forms of CVC words and all of that. So you were looking at the double consonants. Double consonants are basically where you have a letter that is occurring twice successfully, okay, in succession. So for instance, you have the k and the k. Now that one might throw someone off because they say, oh, it's a k and a k, it's a koilika and a kikinka, so they're not the same. Well, they make the same sound, okay? They make the same sound, and then, of course, you have the other ones, which are basically the same letters repeated twice. So you have the t, t, the s, and the Now, of course, they are double consonant because when you put them together, they only make one sound, okay? You don't go g, g. It only makes the sound g. So double consonants, they are consonant letters that occur twice in succession in a word. For instance, for tall, you have the t or as that. For buzz, you have the b or z. Again, those are the double Z's. They are double consonants at the end of a word. Of course, we've talked about what are vowels and consonants, so I'm not going to repeat that. We all know what that is by now. Then the final one is the split digraph. Now, split digraph is something that you are going to come across when you start teaching some elements of phase 5 phonics. In phase 5 phonics, this is where you have alternative sounds and alternative spellings. So the split digraph basically is when when a digraph is split by a consonant. So for instance, we have the A and the E with the dash in the middle. Now that dash in the middle just tells you that there's supposed to be a consonant in the middle there. But the split digraph makes one sound. Okay, although you have the consonant splitting the words in the middle, they make one sound. Now, there's something we call the magic E. The magic E is basically used for split digraphs, okay? The magic E does not make any sound. For instance, we have the word cake. You have the k, a, k, and definitely you have an E at the end, but you do not go k, a, k, eh. The magic E in this instance, in the split digraph, is usually silent, but you cannot have a split digraph without the E at the end. So this is, as I said, this is usually phase 5, and these are alternative sounds because you also have the A sound for A and I, which they are together. Those are not split, those are together. And now you have the split sound, the A split E. So split digraph, as we have already said, they occur when you have a consonant in breaking those two sounds together. You have bake, you have cake, and on, but toe. Okay, so all of these are, you have the split sound in each of these words. Now, without the magic E, as I said, a split digraph will not happen. The magic E has an effect on the vowel. That magic E in the split digraph has an effect, and it changes the sound of that vowel, which is the A or the O or the I or the U or the E. So when we're teaching phonics, when you hear somebody say a split digraph, it's either one of these sounds that you can see on the screen. So there you have it. These are all of the key terminologies that are used in teaching phonics. And hopefully this will help you understand and also improve your teaching of phonics, because now you know the key terminologies and what they mean and all of that. This might help improve your teaching of phonics and your understanding of phonics. Now, in my next video, I'm going to be talking about how to teach a phonics lesson. So please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And do not also forget to turn on your notification bell. So when I post the next video, you'll be one of the first to watch it and to learn from it. Thank you very much. And I will see you sometime soon. Bye-bye.